Hey, this video is about a 2008 Honda Odyssey van with sliding door problems, and just wanted to document my struggles with this particular van. And it's been a good one. It's a 2008 with about 160,000 miles on it. Owned it since brand new. It's only ever been to the dealer one time, and that was for a timing belt, water pump kit, all the whole 9 yards, tensioners. And I'll let the Honda dealership do that, but only time it's ever seen the dealer. And been having problems with sliding doors for maybe the last 3 or 4,000 miles, both sides, super intermittent, and then became more persistent over time. Both sides were doing it. Passenger side was worse. And just, I found what the problem is, and I'll show you how I fix it. But first, I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube, and, I've done about everything. And, again, it took care of the driver's side, but first I started by, lubricating all the tracks on both sides. Then I replaced, the center roller that rides in here on both sides. Also, these bumpers were completely gone on both sides, so I ordered those, replaced those. And it, the rollers, lubricating, and that bumper, I guess, totally fixed the driver's side. It's never intermittent, works perfectly every time. But the passenger side, which is used 4 or 5 times more than the driver's side for dropping off kids, etc. I mean, it's just, it's just persistently not working. And the problem that I found is this. If we take a look at the door mechanism, and I did, in addition to doing all that, the rear latch assembly, I did completely remove and lubricate that up, per YouTube videos and all that. It didn't fix my problem. And a note on this, getting this out, I saw some people struggling with it. It really wasn't a problem for me to get out. And the bracket that I've seen in some videos where they say it's on the window track, I didn't have that at all. Like, I didn't see a bracket. My window track back there is just swinging in the wind. I mean, there's no bracket, there's no nothing on it. And you just kind of bend it 90 degrees sort of out of the way, and you can fish that whole mechanism out, pretty easy. But anyway, this is my problem right here. This is the difference between the door working perfect every time and not. Whether you're using the handles or whether you're using the switch up front. So what happens is, I'll see if I can do it with the handle and show you. So say that arm moves and then it releases. It doesn't come back to where it needs to be. Like, it needs to be here. And if you snap the outside lever, see, sometimes it'll come all the way back. But if it doesn't have that slam, see, it'll only come back about halfway. And that's the issue. Like, the difference in if the door is opening with that halfway, when you go to close it, if it's still in this position, the rear latch assembly will clank really loudly or try to suck the door in too far. And it just, won't work at all. It won't close. The car will beep like the door's still open. It'll close and then try to release. But if I close the door using any method, and I just move this back to that position, when the door, it'll close perfect every time. No problems at all. And so I need to figure out why this gets stuck in that position. You know, again, it's, if I move it all the way over and just release it, it just kind of hangs out right there when it really needs to come here. And it does, when it comes back here, it does depress on a micro switch here and a micro switch up there. So obviously that's quagging up the whole thing. But I've taken all these cables off individually and all of the cables seem fine. So I need to figure out why that kind of stays there in the middle. Okay, so just one more time, you know, I'll make the door open and show you what I mean. And pretty much whether an electrical actuator opens the door, like if you're hitting the switch on the dash, or, you know, I can just make the door open by pushing that over. You see how that arm just doesn't? So I'm gonna close it and see. If I just press that, perfect every time. So again, it's this arm not coming all the way back for some reason. Do it again. See, it just doesn't snap back. And just push it back. Door closes perfect every time. So one of the symptoms as well, if that arm isn't in the right position, is if the switch is off on your console and you were to just move the door in manually, when it gets close to shutting, it should automatically suck itself in and latch. That will not happen if that arm's in the incorrect position. So that's kind of a dead giveaway of something like in my instance happening to your van. When you go to shut it, it just will never suck itself in. I mean, you can close it manually without a problem and latch it, but it won't suck itself in. That's something I noticed from the good side to this side as well. All right, back to this real quick, and I had a discovery. I was going to pull this whole mechanism off, and it's a crazy, because this bolt right here, this bolt right here, this bolt right here, took them out, and I couldn't pull this off. So I figure, you know, the handle on the outside must have to come off before this can come off, or something's the problem. But I noticed when all three of these bolts were out, this thing worked perfect. And I'll show you that, but I already put the bolts back in and snugged them up, and it's back to, like, you know, if I kind of let it go hard, it'll come back. But if I do it sort of like the actuator will do it, it just all the time stays right in that position. Now, watch this. I'm going to take the bolts out. All right, so I pulled all three of those bolts out. And this one up here, I noticed when I loosened that one, this area, like this was sitting there. As soon as I pulled this bolt right here out, this thing just went right back. So now you see, with those bolts out, when I move it, I can just release it very easy. It always comes back to where it should be. I mean, it's just like, I'll just even keep some pressure on it. It just always comes back, no problem. So, wow. You know, something getting sandwiched. I mean, have my kids jerked on the outside handle and bent something on this assembly. I mean, without that bolt, sure seems like it just works perfect, always comes back, no problem. All right, so after taking those bolts out 10 times and bending on the mechanism and, you know, trying to see what was going on. I couldn't get this part to be smooth if that bolt was cinched down. So I just did a backyard fix and put a washer behind it and cinched it down. And now this arm comes back to its position every time. So far I've opened the door like 40 times and closed it, and you can see it pop back into position. Comes back every time. Closing it. See the arms in the right position. Door shuts fine. Comes back. So maybe a washer will get your Honda Odyssey fixed if you have a problem similar to mine. If anybody out there, like a Honda mechanic that works on these all the time, would happen to know what the problem actually is, I'd love to know, but seems like that took care of my door. Hope it helps somebody.